It's been a long time since a relatively new release has been on my brain so constantly. The last time that a game even came close was Super Mario Odyssey or Psychonauts 2. Whenever I stop playing Pizza Tower, I just think about starting it up again. Whenever I'm at work, I just think, wow, I want to go home and play some more Pizza Tower. To say that this game has completely taken over my mind for the past year is an understatement. Let's get into why Pizza Tower has already cemented itself as one of my favorite games of all time. The story is brief, but it's enough to get the player going. Peppino Spaghetti is just chilling in his pizzeria until he notices that Pizza Face is planning on destroying it with a giant laser beam. That's about it, honestly. That's enough to get the player going, and it's accompanied by this art style that is simultaneously both glorious and disgusting. The best thing about the game may be Peppino's overall moveset and how he controls. The best move by far is the continuous dash, which has 3 stages. Mach 1 will have Peppino start to pick up speed. He can run up vertical walls if he jumps into them, and he can stun enemies by bumping into them. Mach 2 will have Peppino run at a much faster rate, which will kill most enemies by simply running into them, break metal blocks, and will allow him to do a super jump. Mach 3 can be achieved by holding down the directional pad in the direction that Peppino is running for a few seconds. The mechanics are mostly the same as Mach 2, but Peppino will run even faster. The super jump will allow Peppino to reach amazing heights. It can be activated by hitting up on the D-pad while he is in Mach 2 or Mach 3. The player can fix their positioning by holding down either left or right on the D-pad. He can also do a shoulder bash out of it to get some horizontal distance. Peppino can grab enemies and do several wrestle-like moves with them in his hands. If the player hits down while in the air, Peppino will do a dive, which can be used to break blocks that happen to be in his way. One of my favorite things to do is dash and then crouch. This will give Peppino a quick burst of speed, and he'll automatically enter Mach 2 when he gets back up. The way that the momentum gets carried, it just feels so good. Looking over my footage, I use this maneuver so goddamn much. The last major thing to mention is Peppino's taunt. If your timing is good, you can abuse the shit out of this. If you hit this button as the enemy touches you, you'll avoid damage and kill the enemy. If they can be killed, that is. Even with unkillable enemies, Peppino can sometimes escape getting damaged. This will also deflect projectiles. If you hold the button down, Peppino can even breakdance. After killing 10 enemies, Peppino will earn a super taunt. This can be used by hitting the taunt button and up on the D-pad. This will kill all enemies on the screen, and he'll have to earn another one if the player wants to use it again. We have to explain how to get a P rank. The player must get all 3 secret eyes, find Jerome the janitor, find the secret treasure, do a second lab, get enough points for an S rank, and lastly, easily the hardest part, start a combo on the first screen and keep it going for the entire level. It's a lot, and even P-ranking the easiest levels in the game, that took me a while. But man, that adrenaline rush. When you finish your first lap, you look in the top left corner, you see the P-rank form. It's like crack. Suddenly my heart starts racing, and I just pray to God that I don't screw up the combo somehow. The thing about P-rank is like, yeah, of course it's difficult, it's the game's main challenge. It's also fair. Imagine a P-rank, you need to get every single little topping, kill every single goddamn enemy, and not get hit at all. It honestly wouldn't be fun anymore. Frustration would set in and I would have given up. I love how the player can miss some enemies, miss some giant toppings. Hell, they can even miss the cage toppings if they want. I wouldn't recommend it. They reward a lot of points. I also love how the super taunt, that can be used as a desperation button to keep the combo going. While getting hit by something will drastically lower the time to keep the combo going, it doesn't outright end it. That is a really nice touch. Speaking of the second lab, I should explain what that actually means. At the end of every level, the player will come across Pillar John. If they hit him, this will initiate the escape sequence, and the amazing musical track that is, It's Pizza Time will play. This has to be inspired by Wario Land 4, right? The John blocks around the map will either go active or inactive when the pillar is hit. These will open up new routes, or simply make it easier or harder to get back to the beginning. The last thing to note is that little clocks and large bells will appear around the map. These will reward the player points, and help keep the combo meter steady. Well, I guess the final thing to say is, I guess speaking of the score, the player will lose 5 points for every second, incentivizing them to go faster. A pizza portal labeled Lab 2 is usually placed right near the entrance of the level. The player can either just leave the level, or they can risk it all. I mean, to get a P rank, you gotta do it. Also, as a side note, I think that the Death That I Deserve Only is the best track in the entire game. When the time hits 0, Pizza Face will appear and chase the player. If Pizza Face touches the player, they will lose. Again, I like the leniency here. Once the time is up, the player isn't automatically screwed. They have some time before Pizza Face actually catches up to them. Entering the Lab 2 portal is worth 3,000 points. The last basic thing to mention is that 19 stages have 5 trap top-ins. These cute little guys will follow Peppino after being rescued. They'll net the player 1,000 points, and while not being 100% necessary for P-ranking a level, those points help a lot. There's a mushroom one, a cheese one, a tomato one, a sausage one, and a pineapple one. Each topping will also net Peppino $10, which can be used to unlock boss doors. There are 95 toppings total, but only 86 of them are required to unlock all the boss doors and beat the main game. With all the basic mechanics gone over, I think it'll be fun to dive into all the stages and talk about each and every one of them. There are 20 stages in total, and I went through the task of getting P rank in every level. I also completed all the chef's tasks, which is the achievement system for the game. And let me tell you, my appreciation of the game, it simply went up tenfold when I decided to put on my big boy pants and do everything that the game has to offer. John's Gutter is the first stage in the game and has a nice purple and black theming. It admittedly has first stage syndrome though. Like, it's not bad by any means, and it's a great place to practice Peppino's moveset and get the movement down. Like, there's a metal block that he needs a ground pound from a great height. He'll need to do a super jump towards the end of the level, as well as to find this tower's secret treasure. There are plenty of fork knives to practice your parries on. There are also plenty of walls to try to climb. The 3 secrets, they're all pretty basic and they're not too hard to find. All in all, it's kind of like Mumbo's Mountain, you know? A great tutorial and a decent stage in its own right, but it's not going to stand against the later stages in the game. The biggest surprise here are the chef's tasks. Beating the stage in under 2 minutes is actually surprisingly difficult, and it took me a good few tries. Getting a combo at 99? That's also pretty hard because this means that the player have to kill every single enemy, as well as do a lap too, and not drop the combo at any point. The third chef task, that one's an absolute throwaway, however. I actually found P ranking John's Gutter to be somewhat difficult, but that's probably because it was the first level that I seriously attempted. It took me roughly an hour and 45 minutes to get all the chef's tasks, as well as P rank John's Gutter. Pizzascape will give us a look at our first transformation. The knight will allow Peppino to do a double jump, a sword ground pound, and kill stupid rats if he slides into them. These stupid rats can only be killed by transformations or with bombs. When Peppino comes into contact with a slope, he will start sliding. This can be cancelled with a ground pound, which will be helpful for getting one of the chef's tasks. All 3 secrets use a knight transformation as well. It's an integral part of the stage's identity, and it really is more or less defined by it. To get rid of the knight transformation, Peppino will have to touch a priest. Some of these secrets are pretty hard to find. I won't lie, it took me a while to find these 2. The knight power-up is needed for both of them, and the last one requires a super jump. The treasure is also tucked away in a higher spot, but this can be reached by running up the wall. The music also slaps here. It's incredible. It's up there with the best music tracks in the game. That's really saying something, as this game's entire OST is simply insane. The chef's tasks are easy enough here. One of them is to parry 10 fork knights, which I think is a brilliant way to persuade the player to try out the mechanic. One of the chef's tasks will have the player kill an enemy while in ball form. This one took me forever because I didn't realize that the pepperoni enemies, they will turn Peppino into a ball after kicking them. The last one that I mentioned earlier, the player has to avoid hitting a wall with the knight power-up. This level took me roughly an hour and a half to get everything done, as well as P-rank it. It's probably one of the easiest stages in the game, mind you, but again, this was early on, so I was still getting the mechanics and overall flow of the game down. Ancient Cheese is a pretty fun level. Throughout the level are little cheese blocks that will disappear once Peppino runs on them. They are used throughout the level a lot, and it encourages the player to keep their ass moving. The level will also have the player use bombs to remove stupid rats that are scattered throughout the level. There's actually not too much to say about this one. As we still on floor 1, I found this one to be good, but not exactly too memorable. There isn't a transformation or anything like that to help this one really stand out. Well, I guess there's the ball transformation, but come on. The 3 secrets here, they're also pretty basic as well. I somehow found this one to be the shortest to P rank and get all the chef's tasks in so far. It only took me about half an hour. The chef's tasks are all very easy. One is to avoid all bomb explosions, one has Peppino use an enemy bomb to kill a stupid rat instead of the generated ones, and the last one will require Peppino to break a certain amount of cheese blocks. The level layout, it really is relatively simple, and I found P ranking this one to be no problem at all. But then we get to Bloodsauce Dungeon. Bloodsauce Dungeon, by far, is the hardest stage on the first floor. There are just so many goddamn things that can go wrong here. I kept falling into lava pits like a dumbass. I kept getting hit by these damn anchovies and pizza cutters. A random fork knight would keep hitting me, and I would keep dropping my combo at the dumbest parts. This is the first genuinely hard level to P rank in my opinion, and I am a bit embarrassed to say, I raged quite a bit here. Anywho, on to the level itself. The 3 chef tasks are pretty simple in theory, but these can be hard if you eat ass like me. One of them is to avoid all lava. If you're busting your ass and going fast, it's surprisingly easy to fall into these pits. Another one is to avoid all pizza slicers. Again, if you're busting your ass and trying to get it done quickly, it's pretty easy to slip up and hit one of these stupid things. The third one is honestly a throwaway. All that you have to do is hold the super jump for over 2 seconds during the escape sequence. Speaking of that, I think the reason why this level is so hard to P rank is because there are just so many things that can go wrong. So so many slicers, so many pits of lava. The damn flying anchovy things can be unpredictable too. I swear, even at Mach 2 speed, they'll find a way to hit me and ruin my combo. The second secret is also in a weird spot. For some reason, I tried to ham-fist it earlier in the level, and not during the escape, which is clearly what you're intended to do. In general, the layout is almost labyrinth-like. There are a lot of high walls, spots where Peppino needs to dive, and spots where he needs a super jump. This level really tests your knowledge of Peppino's moveset, for better or worse. Speaking of the secrets, at least those are pretty simple. Like most levels, these incorporate aspects of the level inside of them. For example, one of them is pizza cutters everywhere. Another one will have pits of lava to avoid. The last one is pretty generic, but it focuses on how well the player can jump, dive, and wall climb. This one took me, get ready for it, 2.5 hours to do everything. I believe that will be the longest time for the entire game. Hell, even now, with 60 hours under my belt, this is one of those levels that would take me a hot minute to P-rank and do everything all over again. The other levels on floor 1, those would only take me a couple tries probably. Anyway, now that the main levels on floor 1 are done, we can move on to the boss. The first boss is Pepperman. To access this fight, the player will need to pay Mr. Stick $100, which equates to 10 toppins. The boss fight itself is incredibly simple. Pepperman will charge at Peppino, but hit a wall. After hitting a wall, he will be stunned. This will enable Peppino to hit him. After a while, he'll start jumping around, and his vulnerability state will change. The last couple of hits will have Peppino attack a statue to distract Pepperman, while other obstacles will pop up and try to throw off the player. Finally, he is defeated. Or is he? One cool thing about the bosses is the fact that their health is effectively doubled. Once their HP goes down to 0, it will refill and the boss fight will continue. The music speeds up, and it's just an incredible feeling. More obstacles will appear, and it's actually pretty easy to screw up the P rank here. By the way, to get a P rank on a boss level, you gotta kill them without taking damage. On his last hit point, Pepperman will shrink down into a little guy. If you can't knock him out in time, he will grow big again and you'll have to hit him. With that, Pepperman is defeated, and we can finally hit floor 2. Here we go, baby, Oregano Desert. I like the gimmick of this one a lot. Remember the cute little topping guys? They're too cute to forget. Well, these guys are stashed in these pizza marts. Fun fact, the first time I played through this level, I thought all these were just decorations, so I had 0 toppings collected for a while. Anyway, as the name states, this level takes place in a desert, but toward the end, a UFO will land and Peppino will have to navigate it. The main transformation here is Fire Mouth. It can be activated by having these dudes throw chicken wings at Peppino's mouth. This will cause his mouth to literally catch on fire and he can break TNT blocks, as well as kill most enemies and stupid rats by touching them. If the player hits the attack button in midair, they will be granted a horizontal boost. To put out the fire, Peppino can either touch a priest or get kicked by a cow. Speaking of the cows, they are everywhere, especially during the escape sequence. They are here just to get in the way and kick your ass all over the place. They are also placed in the pizza marts, on one of the secrets, in the UFO ship, out and about in the desert. They are goddamn everywhere. They can either be really helpful by getting rid of your transformation, or extremely irritating if you wanted to keep it. The 3 secrets here stand out a bit because they actually use the transformations and other elements from the level. One of them will have Peppino try to collect toppings while destroying these orange blocks. One of them will have Peppino use the Fire Mouth transformation to collect floating toppings. The last one, it looks pretty standard, but cows will invade the secret and try to kick you off the ledge. There are a couple of neat enemies here too. At least up until this point, most of them are just kinda chilling. Sure, there's ones like the Fork Knights or Mini Johns that can hurt you, but if you're just mock dashing right through, you can go through that shit no problem. For starters, the totem clouds, they can't be killed. They just float there, dropping lightning from time to time. The tribe cheese will also throw an axe at Peppino if he gets too close. These can be parried, and it's always a treat to do so. The chef's tasks here are pretty simple. One of them is to, in quotes, dance around an inactive totem. This can be done by mock dashing back and forth in front of it. Another one will require the player to not get hit by a cow while beating the level. The last one will require the player to kill all of the clerk sausages. How rude. This only took me about roughly an hour and a half to do everything. Up next is Wasteyard. There are a few fun mechanics here that help it stand out from the other levels. For one, you can ride corpses. That doesn't sound disgusting at all. This level also has a new transformation, the Ghost. Touching this mushroom ghost thing will turn Peppino into Ghost Peppino, and he'll be able to float around the level freely. Peppino can also power up the Ghost transformation by picking up these Ghost Peppers. Eventually, he'll be able to kill enemies and break Ghost blocks. The Ghost will be able to pass through cheese graters too. Eventually, Ghost John will show up. He'll transfer Peppino back in the level if he gets touched by him, making the escape sequence a bit more hectic than usual. I like the level's theming, soundtrack, transformation. I think this is a very solid level. The location of the secrets are also pretty clever, like this one here with the John blocks. If you're observant and notice them on lap 1, you probably picked up that there's gotta be something behind these blocks, right? I love the game for making me think like this. One of the secrets will have the player use the ghost transformation to kill enemies and destroy a ghost block that is blocking the exit. Another one will simply have the player climb walls and try to run away from Ghost John. The last one will have Peppino run through a field of bandito chickens. Pretty basic secrets, but I like them. The 3 chef's hats here are pretty simple. One is to ride all the corpses, one is to beat the level without touching Ghost John, and the last one requires you to kill 20 enemies with the ghost transformation. It took me roughly an hour or so to do everything. Here we go! Fun Farm is next. This level is more or less defined by Mort the Chicken. This transformation will allow Peppino to double jump, smack enemies and stupid rats, and latch onto hooks to get additional jumps. I know I haven't commented too much on enemies yet. I want to save that for a specific section later in the video, but I love how the enemies here are eggplants, potatoes, tomatoes. It's fun theming, which I feel like this game doesn't get enough credit for. One secret has Peppino just rushing right through so many potato farmers. Another one involves jumping off of hooks with Mort the Chicken. The last one has Peppino trying to escape the tomatoes' fiery attacks. 3 pretty basic secrets to be honest, but at least they all feature enemies and transformations that are found in the main level. There are also a lot of flying ladders that you can climb for an additional boost, although you could argue you could just do a super jump and bypass them completely. One thing this level does that many others don't is it features enemies where Peppino can't reach them. Plenty of eggplants and tomatoes, they're out here throwing sickles and torches at you. Speaking of that, one of the chef's tasks is to kill 3 unreachable enemies with a super taunt. This is pretty easy to do. Good egg will require the player to complete Fun Farm and avoid damage while using the Mort transformation. The last one will have the player find and destroy the Mort cube, which can be found here. This level only took me about 45 minutes to do everything. I found this level to be one of the easier ones. Fastfood Saloon coming at you with what is possibly the best level-based soundtrack in the game. It really is so good. I also just love some of the enemies here. The Rant shooter, that's just brilliant. The transformation on display here is the weenie mount. When Peppino grabs the weenie, he'll mount it. I should have worded that differently. On the weenie, he can run into enemies and kill stupid rats. He can also jump off of it by just hitting the jump button. To get some of the top-ins, Peppino will have to beat Horsey at a race. They're pretty easy though, very lenient. There are also several time gates around the level. Peppino will have to hit these little buttons to remove the gates for a short amount of time. Several ventilators will blow Peppino upward. I haven't brought up the location of the treasures too much, but I really like where this one's located. There are a few good gimmicks here to help the level stand out. And again, that music track though. One of the secrets will have Peppino race against Horsey. I like secrets like this one. It just encourages you to go as fast as ass. Another secret will have Peppino try to reach the end while ventilators will elevate him. The last one will involve these goddamn buttons and temporary gates. This might be the best set of secrets so far, to be honest. They all encourage you to go fast. They all use elements that are found in the main level. Really, the only way for this to be better is if they incorporated the weenie somehow. Non-alcoholic will be awarded by destroying nearly every bottle. If you want to nitpick, why didn't they just give us a specific amount? Why saying almost all? It just sounds weird to me. Royal Flush will be awarded when Peppino touches every card. Already pressed is actually kind of difficult. Peppino will have to activate each button only once. Some of these are in spots where it's easy just to mock dash right by them, overshoot it, turn around, and then hit it again. Anyway, 1.5 hours later, we're done with Fastfood Saloon. The second boss fight is against the Vigilante, and get this, Peppino is given a gun. He can either shoot small bullets, or the player can hold down the shoot button for a bigger bullet that does more damage. The Vigilante will throw a lot of shit at you, like dynamite, bullets, and a literal cow. He will also use a flamethrower and his cowboy boots to kick your ass. Ghosts will come out of nowhere and try to stab you with pitchforks. At first, this one seemed like it was going to be a hard one to P-rank due to all the projectiles flying around, but it only took me about 15 minutes. At the halfway point, the Vigilante will mix up his attacks better and everything will go black. You can cheese this guy easily. All you have to do is watch his movement pattern, charge up his super shot, hit him, and then hit him with an additional bullet or two. If you're good at timing, hitting, and getting the pattern down, you can pretty much lock up a pattern where you shoot him, he retreats. Then you shoot him again, he'll retreat again. It feels nice to get this pattern down. Anyway, on to floor 3. We're going to start with Crust Cove. The main transformation here is the barrel. It's kind of fun rolling around everywhere, but at the same time, you're kind of just on autopilot, you know? Like, all you have to do is hold the sprint button, jump, maybe change direction sometimes. It's not like standard Peppino where you might have to whip out a super jump, decide to climb walls, manipulate his speed. You know, it's still somewhat fun, but it's kind of hard to describe. Another fun gimmick is this douchebag shooting at you from the foreground. You gotta keep moving if you don't want to get hit. Also, you see these bodies of water? You gotta be in at least Mach 2 to get across these, otherwise piranhas will disrupt your movement. I also love these Pinacool guys. This is a pretty good level. Not amazing or anything. Some of the gimmicks here are fun. The theming and soundtrack are great. But the transformation, it does get pretty autopilot-y. One of the secrets involves the barrel transformation. Roll around to get all the toppings. That's about it. The second secret has Peppino running around the piranha-infested water. It's easy to do, but once you lose your momentum, it can be very hard to get it back. The third secret involves Peppino parrying a cannon pizza goblin's cannonball to kill stupid rats. That's a creative use for the parry feature. The X chef task is simply brilliant. To get it, you have to uncover all the treasure guys. There are 7 of them, and some of these are pretty missable if you don't slow down and pay attention. Blowback will have the player parry a cannonball back to a cannon pizza goblin and kill it. The last one, It's lame, just beat the level without getting hit by an explosion. I swear, there was one earlier that had pretty much the same description. Anyway, Crust Cove is done, and it took me only about an hour and 15 minutes. So, remember when I said that Bloodsauce Dungeon gave me an aneurysm? Well, this next level, this broke me for a bit. How long did I say Bloodsauce took? Like 2.5 hours to P-rank, do everything? Gnome Forest took me just slightly under. 2 hours and 15 minutes. The main culprit here? Brick and Gustavo. Let's talk about him. Not long into the level, Peppino will take a nap and the player will become Brick and Gustavo. It's not that I don't like their moveset per se, it's just the fact that I think their moveset doesn't quite feel as fluid as Peppino's. You combine that with a level with some genuinely hard parts, like Gnome Forest, the frustration can set in quickly. So, onto the moveset. They can sprint, attack, crouch, ground pound. On the surface, this is just like Peppino, right? Oh god, no it's not. First of all, they can do a double jump, which is nice. This can also be used to break metal blocks underneath them. They can also wall jump. But is it just me, or is it a bit funky? Sometimes I get caught on the walls. Sometimes I try to jump to the other wall, but I get stuck. It's kind of hard to describe without trying it for yourself. Gustavo can also kick Brick, which can be very nice and be used to hit faraway enemies. Keep in mind though, this will separate them for a bit, which could screw you over. They can also taunt and super taunt too. So, in addition to trying to keep another moveset down, you have to watch out for these stupid fucking cactus things. Pickle is their name, and they will teleport all over the damn stage and hit you unexpectedly. I've lost quite a few P ranks to these goddamn assholes. The wizard shooting lightning can catch me off guard too. This one part though, oh god, fuck this one part. Apparently they patched it recently to make it easier. Huh. So it wasn't just me having a problem here. The timing of this one part in particular is simply awful. You need to be perfect. If you hit a wall, you're done. You have to use this dash panel, bounce on these mushrooms, break this metal block, and reach this topping perfectly. You could try to use your super taunt to hit the enemies on top, but this is hard to do, and it actually has led to me wasting too much time and screwing up the combo. This is the big run destroyer. But there's still little moments here and there that can ruin it too. The toppins aren't in cages. Once a player touches a gnome pizza, the time starts ticking. In order to get the toppin, Peppino has to return the gnome pizza to his house before the timer runs out. These are extremely lenient though. I actually had to pull this part from the wiki. Apparently the gnome pizza will literally freeze in place if you don't get him there in time. Two of the secrets have the player more or less just figure out Gustavo's moveset. They're simple, but honestly, for how punishing the main level can be, I like these being on the easier side. One of them really is just jumping around and collecting toppings. The other one is a bunch of dash pads so you can get used to the moveset with some momentum. The last secret. Oh boy, the last one. The devs put the last one right in front of the exit behind some John blocks. The lab 2 portal's a screen over, and it pretty much forces you to do the secret at the end of lab 2. Luckily, you're Peppino, and the secret itself is pretty easy, honestly. But man, just that pressure that the whole P-rank run hinges on you not dying at the very end is a lot, man. The chef's tasks range from throwaway to, holy shit, this is annoying. One of them's a taunt near a bee. That is it. One of them is to parry an arrow to kill a noise goblin. Again, easy enough, easy enough. The last one is to break all the wooden blocks. That's the annoying one. There's just a lot of them. Finally, 2 hours and 15 minutes later, Gnome Forest has been conquered. This was one of the hardest ones by far, and really, this is the only one that compares to Bloodsauce Dungeon. Enough ranting about this stage, though. We gotta move on. Deep Dish 9 is probably the easiest level on this floor. It takes place on a large spaceship, and eventually on a planet made of cheese. The rocket is the main transformation here, and it will enable Peppino to break asteroids. He can turn around on the rocket if he is on the floor. If he hits a wall while on the rocket, the transformation will end. Peppino can also jump off of the rocket to make it end. The anti-gravitational olive bubble is fun to ride around in, too. There are also some weird portals everywhere that will teleport Peppino earlier in the level. This one has some neat gimmicks to help keep it fresh. I like the enemies as well as the scenery here. The enemies are little green olive dudes on the ship and on the first planet, but after landing on the cheese planet, the enemies will switch to cheese slimes and other cheese-like enemies. I love the animation of Peppino in the rocket while taking off. You know, I feel like this isn't a hard or impressive level per se, but I really adore small details like this. It's definitely on the easier side for how late in the game it is. But I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. The banging soundtrack doesn't hurt either. Hiding Lab 2 behind the asteroid at the beginning, I thought that was also wicked smart. This part though, right here, with the different colored switch blocks, this is kind of annoying. The first secret will let the player get familiar with the anti-gravitational olive. Peppino will get to bash his head on these blocks while collecting these toppings. The second will have Peppino ride a rocket to get all the toppings. The last secret, which is cleverly hidden behind this asteroid, is kind of a cute concept. You'll have Peppino gain speed by going through portals over and over and over again to break metal blocks. The chef's tasks are pretty easy here too. Turbo Tunnel tasks the player to avoid hitting the ceiling in the room right after John Pillar. Man Meteor tasks the player to kill 5 UFO olives with a single body slam. It can be done right here. Blast some asteroids will task the player to destroy all the asteroids. Like I said before, it's a pretty easy level. It only took me like 40 minutes to do everything. I think that's the shortest yet. This may be a hot take, but I'm not the biggest fan of golf. In fact, I'll go as far as to say it. It's probably my least favorite level in the entire game. Don't get me wrong, if you're good at the game and know what you're doing, you could probably just mock dash into Greaseball. He will usually go where you need him to, but like, when it doesn't work, it just feels so goddamn clunky. This game encourages the player to go as fast as they can, but this level, it just encourages you to slow down, you gotta tee up the Greaseball. I don't know, it's a neat concept, but I do kind of sigh when that title card pops up. The secret eyes are honestly kind of lame too. Like, the first one is probably the best one. It has several big cheese guys throw a Peppino around in ball form. You have to jump over some of them to make sure they don't throw you the wrong way. The second one just involves golf demons killing themselves. Why? The last one's even weaker than that. All they have to do is ground pound the Greaseball dude to collect toppings. Again, what? It's not like they're actively unfun, but there is such little gameplay here. Also, screw this piece of shit dash pad near the Lab 2 portal. This ruined a P-rank run or two. I'll stop whining though, and it's actually not that hard to P-rank this level for one main reason. When you tee up Greaseball, the P-rank meter gets reset. This is insanely useful, and it's the main reason why everything only took me about an hour. The secrets, they're in pretty easy spots. Jerome, it's pretty easy to spot too. It's not difficult per se. Again, I used the word earlier, it just feels a bit clunky at times. I don't know, maybe I just need to get good. The chef's tasks are pretty interesting here. Nice Shot will have the player kill 3 enemies in a single stroke. Primo Burger will have the player get the highest rank in all the golf courses. Lastly, the most interesting one, Helpful Burger will require the player to get an enemy burger to hit the ball inside the goal. It's a cool idea once you know what you're doing. It's actually not that hard to set up either. Here we go, it's time to fight the noise. He has a bag of tricks to try to hurt Peppino. He has his trusty skateboard, bombs, pogo stick, jetpack. Also, the one freakout where he blows up, absolutely genius. That got my ass the first few times. The noise bouncing around his jetpack, that's another one that has tripped me up more than I care to admit. But honestly, it's not that bad to P-rank, it took me like 20 minutes. What I really like here is the personality. The way he will flip off Peppino. When defeated, he grabs a minigun, but Noisette will drag his ass out of there. The animations of his attacks, they're just so fluid. The noise himself is just funny. I really hope there'll be a future update that'll allow us to play as him. Wouldn't that be neat? He can come decked out with his own moveset and everything. Anyway, we can move on to floor 4. But I gotta come clean, guys. I did something dirty here. I killed Snotty on my first time through. Dislike the video, report it, flag it, unsub if for some sad reason you're already subbed. Yeah, I saw this green little cheese slime, dude, and of course I killed it. I thought it was an enemy. And then I saw the tombstone. I'm a fucking monster. Anyway, on to Pig City. The main gimmick here are the transportation cars that transfer Peppino to different sections of the level. I love the artwork of these and how they change depending on what car you're in. Halfway through the level, the player have to play as Gustavo and Brick again. Unlike Gnome Forest, I actually don't mind it here. For one, the level design is a bit more open is the word I'm looking for, I guess. Gnome Forest is more cramped, and some sections, they require near perfect movements for the P rank. Sure, there are a few claustrophobic moments here, but this is so much more doable than Gnome Forest. Another neat gimmick here involves the rails. Peppino will be able to grind on them, but Gustavo will hold onto them. Peppino can grab these rat balloons to gain a bit of height. However, when Gustavo grabs it, Brick will inflate like a balloon. Pretty kinky. The ham cups will keep Peppino in place so he can build momentum, but as Gustavo, they will steal Brick. I love how the devs bake so many differences between the two characters' playing styles. The treasure location is also simply amazing. It's right before the transformation to Brick and Gustavo. You have to ground pound the toilet to reveal the plumbing underneath. I think it is just so brilliant. I'll be honest though, I had to look it up. The Pizza Slug enemies are also funny. I just love the personality that is baked into the stage. It never fails to get a smile for me. Take the chef's task for example. The bacon room is so funny. It's kind of weird for sure, but this is a city based on pigs after all. Taking a picture with every citizen by taunting in front of them, that's another fun achievement to go after. The last one will simply have the player kill 3 enemies with a single brick ball attack. It's a nice way to persuade the player into using this very helpful move. The first seeker will have Peppino try to destroy metal blocks with the help of handcuffs. He'll hold Peppino in place, which will allow him to build momentum. The second seeker will have the player play as Gustavo. He will need to grab onto these rails to collect toppings. The third seeker will have the player play as Gustavo again. There are a shitload of dash panels and ramp balloons. It's a good seeker for testing out Gustavo and Brick's moveset. All in all, I really like Pig City. It's full of personality, fun gimmicks, and I think Gustavo and Brick really shine here. It took me roughly an hour to do everything here. Just don't forget to give Grandma a kiss. Refrigerator-Freezerator, whatever it's called, I'm just calling it RF from now on. A snowy landscape that has appropriately themed enemies like snowmen and angry Santas. Peppino can break these little ice blocks by using the jetpack to bounce on them. The bigger ice blocks will need to be destroyed by heaters. Peppino can activate them by simply bumping into them. Doing this will also reset the combo meter, so that's pretty nice. It's a nice and pretty standard level for the most part, until we get to the Pepper Pizza. It gets elevated to one of the best levels in the game. The Pepper Pizza will turn Peppino red and he'll be able to float indefinitely. He'll also be able to kill enemies by touching them and break small ice blocks whenever he wants. This makes the escape sequence pretty easy, all things considered. But this P rank, it's not free. As a second lap, this could still be a nightmare if you're not prepared. Peppino will drink some milk before lap 2, which will disable the transformation. The neat thing about this is that lap 1 and 2, they feel super different. The only other level where this is the case is golf. You can try to make your second lap easier by removing all the ice blocks that you can on lap 1. This is something that I wish that they did more. There are only a few levels where lap 2 feels really different from lap 1. Sure, most levels have some stupid rats that you can remove on lap 1, but I love the stark difference here. Anyway, one of the secrets will have Peppino use a jetpack to kill enemies. That's about it. The second one will involve the jetpack again. Peppino will have to use these to keep going upward to reach the eye. The third one can be accessed while Peppino has the Pepper Pizza, so it gets pretty trivialized. You can pretty much just float your way to the top. Ice Climber can be achieved by beating the level without falling into a pit. Season's Greetings is awarded when Peppino kills 5 fake Santas. To do this, you can either super taunt or just throw an enemy back at them. Frozen Nuggets will be awarded when all chickens are freed from the frozen blocks. I think this one in particular, it's one of my favorite levels. I've always liked snow levels, the theming here is great. The Pepper Pizza is a nice twist, and I still love how Lab 2 removes it. This level took me roughly an hour or so to complete. Peppibot Factory, and wait for it, the music slaps. Who would have guessed? The transformation here is also pretty cool. It's possibly the best one in the game. Box Peppino will be able to flap his wings and gain some height. He will gain less height with each flap, however. The grab attack will be replaced with the spin attack, which is great for killing enemies and getting horizontal movement. I don't know, man, it's just fun to use. There are also grabber hand things that'll pick up Peppino. If he was in a mock dash before it, he will retain that state after being put down. I love the theming of the enemies here. The weenie enemies, they're just funny to me. The red ones are jerks though. They'll shoot out a fist when they die, which threw me off more times than I care to admit. The Peppibots are pretty funny too. Despite being a pretty basic enemy, they threw me off a decent bit. Just the general layout, all the moving conveyors, which manipulates Peppino's speed behind you, all the electrical blocks. There's a decent bit going on here to screw up your P rank, including this goddamn conveyor with all the dash pads. The ending is also pretty cool. A grabber hand will come and grab the door and move it up as a mini fake out. The location of the treasure is also brilliant. I had to look it up. It's not super hidden or anything, I'm just a dumb piece of shit. Jerome can be kinda hard to grab here too. You gotta dash into this grabber hand, but I kept screwing it up for some reason. All three of the secrets are in pretty clever spots. This is a really good level in my opinion. The challenge is there, but it's more than fair. Speaking of secrets, the secrets are kinda on the weird side. One of them has 11 red weenies that will walk into electricity. This will kill them, but they'll shoot out their fists at Peppino as a parting gift. The second one has the grabber hand, and you need to transfer a bomb to a stupid rat. It's a neat mechanic, and I wish that was actually used in the main level at some point. The third one, which is brilliantly hidden by the way, will let the player kill a shitload of stupid rats as Box Peppino. The secrets, they're alright, but they're definitely on the easier side. The chef's tasks kind of follow that easy but weird vibe. One of them is called the Peppibots, but I swear I got the achievement without killing all of them. That or I'm stupid. Whoop this will be awarded when the player completes the first secret without getting hit. The third one, this one is bloody brilliant. The player has to remove the box form from each priest at least once. If you know, you know. This level took me roughly an hour and a half to do everything. I don't know if this is another hot take or not, but I found oh shit to be very fair. I've seen rants online about how this level feels untested, P-ranking it is impossible, there are too many things here to screw you up. But it only took me like 45 minutes to P-rank it, and to get all the achievements. I don't know why. I found this a hell of a lot easier than like Gnome Forest or Bloodsauce Dungeon. Maybe I'm just weird as hell, or I had a lucky run. With that being said though, it's still kind of on the lower end of levels for me. That's not to say it's bad or anything like that, but there was a decent amount of downtime and like going through the pipes, the banana peels everywhere are kind of annoying, the cheese ball transformation is only okay, and the ninja slices, they're kind of annoying. It's not a bad level per se, but it's definitely on the lower end for me. There are definitely some things that I like here though. The trash pan ability, that's pretty fun, although I don't think it's considered a full-blown transformation. Jerome is in a pretty good spot too. You know, I like where the secrets are too. Like I said, not a bad level, seriously. It's just with a lineup this strong, just simply the good levels, they're gonna get overshadowed. Anyway, the first secret will have Peppino go through various pipes. Only one pipe is the correct one to progress forward, which is indicated by having toppings in front of it. The second secret will have tons of Mr. Pinches throwing Peppino all over the place. The last one will have Peppino jump from garbage can to garbage can. Honestly, this is a pretty solid set of secrets. The chef's tasks here are pretty solid. Can't Fool Me will be rewarded for not killing any Pizza Boy cardboard cutouts. Food Clan will be rewarded if the player can kill 10 ninjas by parrying them. Another great task for encouraging the player to parry. Seriously, once you master the parry, it completely changes the game. Lastly, Penny Pincher will be rewarded if the player can avoid getting grabbed by Mr. Pinch during the escape sequence. Now we could get on to the boss. Fake Peppino is honestly goddamn awesome. The music that plays here is so sinister and I just love that. And he details how Fake Peppino's clothes will match the players. That's such a cool detail. In general, I really like how all the advertisements, they hid this boss. It's such a weird, out of left field pick, and it's awesome. Do you want me to talk about the boss fight itself or only stupid shit? Fine. Fake Peppino will initially dash to try to hurt Peppino. It's pretty similar to Peppino's grab attack. After hitting Fake Peppino, he will summon several ones that cannot get hit. Then he'll start jumping around like a lunatic. Eventually, he'll start running up the walls and onto the ceiling. It gets pretty funky. He'll pull off his head and throw it at Peppino, and summon spiky balls around the boss arena. But it really picks up during the second part of the boss fight. Other Fake Peppinos will appear and start doing earlier moves at random. After finally defeating Fake Peppino, it's time to run for your life. There's this cool chase sequence. Honestly, P-ranking this, it's not too bad either. Some things can get kind of hairy in the second portion of the boss fight, but it only took me roughly like 12 minutes or so. Now we can move on to floor 5, the final floor in the game. Let's do it. Don't Make a Sound is a brilliant play on Five Nights at Freddy's, a dark pizzeria that has animatronics that will chase Peppino throughout the level. If they catch up to Peppino, the player will get jump scared, and I am 99% sure that their combo just simply ends. The animatronics will be activated by these patrollers. When Peppino stands in their light, a little timer of 5 seconds will show up. After those 5 seconds, an animatronic will start to chase Peppino. The chase can be activated sooner by taunting in front of the patroller. The animatronics can actually be useful too. There are a couple of parts of the level where they need to be activated to either open a door, destroy electric blocks to make a path, things like that. There are also some sticky floors that make it harder to jump. There are also some conveyors, dash pads, ventilators. This level is not short on gimmicks to help keep it fresh. This level's theming is already just so amazing and unique, but near the end of the level, Peppino's just given a fucking shotgun. This can be used to break target blocks, kill enemies at a distance. I guess if you want to nitpick, you can't dash with the shotgun out. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass and it takes a minute to get used to. Wait, this means that I can't use my crouch dash technique. God damn it. I also gotta say, the first secret location is simply brilliant. Looking back at my old footage, it's kind of funny seeing my dumb ass try to figure it out. I tried shooting the electrical blocks with the shotgun, even though that doesn't work later in the level. I don't know why I tried doing that. You gotta start the patroller countdown, then back up behind the animatronic, and it'll break the blocks for you. Speaking of the secrets, this may be the best bunch of secrets in the game. They're all simply incredible. You have to run for your life after setting off a patroller. The first one involves Peppino running away from a mushroom moment with some ventilators. The second one is Peppino running up and down walls while the cheese one is chasing him. The third one will have the tomato one chase Peppino while he navigates conveyors. All these encourage you to go fast. They all use elements from the level. I personally think it's the best secret bunch. So on to the chef's task. The first one is simply to kill every chasing monster in the escape sequence. This can be done by shooting them with a shotgun. Jump spared will be awarded for beating the level without getting jump scared. Let them sleep will be awarded when the player activates the alarms less than 6 times before the escape sequence. These are all pretty simple, honestly, but I like them. Surprisingly, this only took me roughly an hour and 10 minutes or so to do everything. It's really not that bad. There are plenty of patrollers everywhere to keep your combo going. The secrets are in sneaky spots, sure, but I don't find them to be too out of reach or anything. Jerome is in an easy spot to reach. The treasure is pretty easy to obtain. Like I said earlier, I really like this one. It's one of my favorites for its creativity. On to war. This level will give the shotgun to Peppino immediately, but once he grabs the gun, the timer starts. It only has 40 seconds on it, but this can be increased by hitting these little timer boxes things. If the timer hits 0, you die. There is no pizza face here. I love the theming here. There are little pizza soldiers and tanks that'll try to shoot you. The Kentucky Bomber will make an appearance and try to drop a giant chicken wing on Peppino. There are plenty of landmines that'll explode on you if you don't keep moving. Peppino clones will show up and try to lick you. And of course, the music is top tier. What else is new? Another cool thing about this level is Lap 2. Peppino has to drop the shotgun and do Lap 2 without it. Remember when I said that I love RRF's Lap 2 because of the difference between that and the first lap? Well, it's the same song and dance here. After going through the whole level with a shotgun, it's neat to replay the level without it. It feels so nice to be able to use my crouch dash again. I feel so free. Beware of the 3 secrets here. The timer does not stop while you're doing these. As a result, these are pretty short, but they kinda need to be given the main level. The first one will simply have the player run through a pizza soldier army. The second one will have Peppino try to dodge cardboard tank shots. Peppino will be swarmed by an army of Peppino clones in the third one. This set of secrets is really good for what the level is trying to achieve. The 3 chef tasks here are pretty simple, actually. I completed all of them in one run at the same time. Decorated Veteran will be rewarded if the player can beat war while only getting hurt 3 times or less. Sharpshooter will be rewarded if the player doesn't miss more than 3 shots. Trip to the war zone will be rewarded when the player finishes war with more than a minute left. Surprisingly, war only took me like roughly 40 minutes or something like that. It's got its hard parts for sure. Like this damn rocket part screwed me up a couple of times. Trying to make sure that you do everything quickly, especially the secrets, can be tricky due to the timer constantly pressuring you. Some enemies, like the tanks, they can get a surprise bullet on you, ruining your combo. As I said before, getting the movement down with the shotgun can take a second. But honestly, this level goes down pretty easy with only a few trip-up parts. Just rushing through the level, shooting everything, using the rocket. It just feels good. Yeah, there are a couple of awkward parts, like waiting for the tanks to shoot the stupid rats, but I like this one a lot. I saved the best normal level for last. I adore Pizzascare. Don't get me wrong, this level's a fucker. It took me about 2 hours to P-rank and get all achievements, but it's such a well-oiled machine. Unlike, say, Gnome Forest or Bloodsauce Dungeon, which I kind of found clunky at parts, I always felt like I screwed up myself when I failed a P-rank run here. The layout is just brilliant. It makes such great use of Peppino's moveset. It also may have the best level-based soundtrack in the game. It goes so goddamn hard. Only Fastfood Saloon competes, IMO. It's actually kind of funny. Watching some of the earlier ones, like Deep Dish 9 for example, I had no recollection of P-ranking it because it was so easy. It only took me a couple of tries. For Pizzascare though, oh god, I literally cringed every time I would drop a P-rank. The drop P-ranks, they were my fault. I missed an obvious enemy, skipped over some smaller toppings because I didn't think I needed them. It's hard to describe. You really need to play it yourself to see what I'm saying. The level just feels so... what's the word? Natural, maybe? The Ghost King will follow Peppino around the level to try to hurt him. To do this, he will possess items such as anchors, outlets, deactivated goblin bots. If Peppino runs into a possessed goblin bot, it will turn him into ball form, which is actually used for a few puzzles throughout the level. Peppino can also kill ghost knights, but only after he touches an exorcist and gets a cross. In fact, the cross will protect him from all forms of damage. Grind rails also make their return, which is great. These are always fun to grind on, I don't know. Starting the escape sequence is also smart. An unactivated goblin bot is in front of Pillar John, so the player will have to go further in the level to get the Ghost King trapped inside of a TV. Then they will use the teleporter to go back to Pillar John, activate him, and then go back and break him free from the TV, so then you can hit this pin. It's a pretty nice shakeup. The location of some of the secrets, Jerome, and the treasure, they're just brilliant. This one secret of the pepperoni goblin bat took me a hot minute to figure out. I mean, I figured that these bats, they must spawn for a reason, right? What you have to do is get kicked by it so you can destroy the stupid rat pin. Jerome is right next to this secret. However, a pepper is blocking the platform to get him, so it's actually pretty easy to miss. The treasure is behind these stupid rat pins by the beginning of the level. You need the Ghost King to turn you into ball form though, so you need to grab this during the escape sequence. The way that everything is just laid out, it just feels so good to play. The first secret has the player grinding on rails, while trying to avoid, or use, the Ghost King's goblin bots. If he hits you, you'll probably roll off the edge and lose your combo, or hit a pin that's in the way. The second one, it is just a classic go and run. Peppino will have to grind on rails and jump up walls. The third secret, which is right by the beginning of the level behind some John blocks, will have the player kill ghosts with the cross power-up. This is a strong set of secrets. Say it with me now. They encourage you to go fast, they use elements of the level. You know by now. Cross to Bear will be rewarded if the player can kill 30 ghosts. Skull Splitter is kind of an annoying one. You have to destroy every single skull block, and there are a lot of them. Haunted Playground will be rewarded if the player can beat the level without getting hurt by King Ghost Traps. This one can be difficult if you just rush through. The amount of times I accidentally stumbled into an anchor, or an electrical outlet, it's more than I care to admit. As I said before, I think this is my favorite level. Even just watching gameplay of it makes me want to go and boot up the game and P-rank it all over again. It's a hard level to P-rank, but it also feels fair. You can go extremely fast in it too. It's not like, say, golf or oh shit, where it feels like I need to keep slowing down to do annoying things. The secrets are in great spots, and the secrets themselves are also fun. To me, this is a near perfect Pizza Tower level. With Pizzascare completed, we can march on to the final boss. After we pay Mr. Stick $210, of course. We gotta climb the tower first, where we can find Pizza Face taking a bath. Hey, criminals gotta be clean too, you know. On that note, I love how this one faces turns toward the player as they go by it. Peppino can then use this present. They'll get launched to the roof, and the final showdown shall begin. The final boss has a few phases. The first one will have Pizza Face drop enemies down to Peppino. These will range from cheese slimes to ninja slices to mini johns and the like. To hurt Pizza Face, Peppino will have to take an enemy and throw it at him. This will enable his vulnerability state. This is a pretty easy phase, but I will say, I would struggle with the second one a decent bit. PizzaHead will reveal himself for Phase 2, and Peppino will be given his trusty gun. In this phase, PizzaHead will use several attacks. At one moment, he may be dropping down 5 sticks of dynamite. At another, he will summon a television that bounces all over the place. He can summon several fork knights, which will hit the ground, die, and throw up their forks. At another moment, he will throw a stupid rat at Peppino in the form of a baseball. Lastly, he will pull out a mini Uzi, try to shoot Peppino, and even throw the gun itself. When laid out like this, it doesn't seem too hard to P-rank, but some of these attacks trip me up. The biggest one is probably the television one. Sometimes he'll take an unexpected bounce and just trip me up. Another thing to note is that Pizza Face will stay in the fray. He will drop down gears from time to time, and this really caught me off guard. I also appreciate the fake out attack, which involves PizzaHead pulling out a poster of himself in a bikini, at least according to the wiki. At first I thought that was his wife or something. Too bad, I thought PizzaHead was getting some nice ass. So what happens after this phase? PizzaHead will summon all the earlier bosses from the game. Pepperman, the Vigilante, the Noise, and fake Peppino will all band together to beat up Peppino. The player have to rematch them one by one. Up first is Pepperman, and luckily, he is more or less the same as before. He will charge at you, jump around, you know. He'll leave himself open for an attack, and after Peppino hits him 4 times, he goes down. Up next is the Vigilante. This is interesting because Peppino isn't given a gun, so how does Peppino even hurt him? Gustavo will appear throughout the fight, and Peppino has to pick him up and throw him at the Vigilante. This will trigger his vulnerability state, which Peppino will have to follow up with an attack of his own. The Vigilante will shoot Peppino, use dynamite, use his cowboy boots, yeah no, the works. Up next is the Noise. The fight is just like the earlier fight against him on a smaller scale. He'll use his bombs, pogo sticks, skateboard. The one wrinkle here is the fact that Gustavo hangs around. Peppino can use him to trigger the Noise's vulnerability state earlier. You don't need him here like with the Vigilante, but he can be nice to have if you want to go fast. Fake Peppino's rematch is on the easier side actually. There are no clones or anything, it's just him and you. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it might be the easiest one. That or Pepperman. The only thing that can really trip you up here is the spiky ball attack. Gustavo hangs around here for this section too. On that note, it can be annoying to accidentally grab him when you don't mean to, but with fake Peppino down, the next phase can commence. PizzaHead will come back and face Peppino one-on-one. He will do a somersault that can do damage and help him get into position. And according to the wiki, it can also not be parried, so don't try to do that. He only has 3 attacks after the somersault. A sumo stomp that will stun Peppino, but it won't do any damage. The boxing glove attack will help him punch forward at a decent distance, and the fly swatter attack will have PizzaHead charge the other side of the stage. This phase might honestly be the easiest. He'll always start with a somersault, and he only has 3 attacks, all of which are easy to dodge. Once you land that final blow, you'll get an amazing cutscene of Peppino just beating this guy's ass mercilessly. God, I know I said it before, but I love the art style. I much prefer something more stylized like this, rather than, oh god, it's so realistic. Maybe I'm just weird. If you want my personal problem with this boss fight, I hate P-ranking it. I know, skill issue. My main problem is just how long-winded it is. There's so many phases, so many opportunities to screw up, and of course, so many unskippable cutscenes. This is a great final boss for that reason, but yeah, P-ranking it can be a chore. It took me roughly an hour and 15 minutes, and I was in rage mode for some of that. But what comes after this? The ending to this game is simply incredible. If you're an observant person, you may have noticed that there were some John blocks all around the hub world. Once I saw these, I knew exactly how the game was going to end. But when that last level kicked in, I was still astounded. Peppino will have to rush through the hub world and save his buddies, as well as his enemies, before the tower crumbles on all of them. If you're not a monster and spared Snotty, he will tag along during the escape. It's fun seeing the various enemies throughout the game come together at one level. Seeing all the transformations and gimmicks come together when you're hauling ass. Seeing the hub world in the perspective of it being a level, hopping from one floor to the next. Again, even with seeing all the John blocks everywhere, I knew this was coming, but I loved it anyway. The music is also so goddamn good here. This is technically the 20th level in the game, titled the Crumbling Tower of Pizza, and you can P-rank it. P-ranking it is much easier than a standard level, because there are no secrets or treasure. There are also no chef's tasks. It's simply, can you P-rank it or not? It took me 3 or 4 tries, as some enemies can kinda sneak in and get a hit on you and end your combo. Either way, I think this is a great ending to such a great game. There are 2 main endings that the player can unlock. If they're able to secure all 19 treasures, they will use those treasures to make John come back to life. If the player doesn't get all the treasures, John will stay dead. How sad. After that, the credits roll and Peppino will get to his judgment. By the way, I love when one of the playtesters has the alias of Pussy Bitch. I didn't notice that until now. 7 judgments can be given to the player, and these will be given on tower progress. Tower progress will be based on top-ends collected, secrets, access, levels beaten, bosses beaten, etc. If one wants a complete breakdown, they can find one on the Pizza Tower wiki. The thing that I love about these is how specific some of the conditions are. I like that you are quick as hell one. This can be achieved by beating the game in under 2 hours while getting under 95%. If the player manages to P-rank every level, get all top-ends, and complete all the chef's tasks, they will unlock the elusive 101%. The Pizza Boy image in the menu will change based on the percentage as well. If you're not a complete asshole and spared Snotty, that save file will get a Snotty approved sticker. Speaking of the file select screen, there's a fun Easter egg if you hang out here for a bit. Roughly 40 seconds or so. Fine, I promise I'll shut up about this now. With all the main levels done, it's time to gush about the game some more. If I had to pick the best single thing about the game, I think it would be how it feels to play. Looking at earlier footage, I look like a goddamn clown. I didn't understand how to carry momentum through the levels so well. I'd be bumping into walls, not getting the Mach speed I need. And more technical maneuvers, like crouch sliding, are nowhere to be seen. Which makes sense, right? When you start playing a fast-paced game like this, you're going to be slow as shit. But eventually, you just get better. Eventually, you'll start memorizing these levels a bit more, coming up with routing and trying to figure out how to go as fast as possible, while getting all top-end secrets, Jerome, the treasure, and of course, fitting in lap 2. It's exhilarating. I'm not kidding when I say my heart pounds when I play this game. I know it sounds sad, and it probably is, but it's true. I also wanted to throw this in there. I went for a P rank in Pizzascare recently, and it only took me 2 tries. I love how much better that I've gotten at the game. Going for the P rank and high score, it just feels so good. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but in addition to little toppings giving 10 points, they also extend the combo meter a bit longer. The same with the larger toppings, which are worth 100 points. When Pillar John is hit, the game will put down clocks that give 10 points, and the bells give 100. Trying to desperately find another topping, kill another enemy, spending your super taunt to keep the P rank status is so much fun. Also, I love taunting in front of the door for style points. Just don't drop that P rank. The OST is ridiculously good. I'm not joking when I say it's one of my favorite gaming OSTs of all time. Sure, it doesn't quite beat the super nostalgic stuff like Digimon World, Pikmin 1, Pokemon Gold and Silver, but goddamn is it close. There's such a nice balance between music that kicks it up a notch and more laid back and chill music. Like, take the pause screen music for example. It is such a goddamn bop. I love that the tower has 5 floors and the tracks are named Monday through Friday. That's such a cute little touch. My favorite stage track is either Fastfood Saloon or Pizzascare. They're both just so catchy. I mean, every single track gets at the very least a foot tapping from me. I bought the soundtrack on Steam to show support, and my brother even bought me a CD from Fangamer. This is a good time to plug the fact that I also have Peppino and Noise plushies, as well as this cool Pizza Tower shirt. Can you tell how much I like this game? However, the best 2 tracks in the game, they're just obvious. At least to me. Number 2 is It's Pizza Time. The way you knock out Pillar John, and this crazy ass music starts. It is just beautiful. The way the song picks up, it's telling you just to hurry your ass up and book it. This doesn't even compare to the best song in the game though. Once you enter that lap 2 portal, the Death That I Deserve Only starts playing, and holy fuck, it's incredible. The way that S rank turns into a P rank in the top left corner, along with this track, it's an adrenaline rush that is pretty much unrivaled in gaming. Sometimes when I'm editing and doing stuff and I don't want to listen to quote-unquote real music, I'll throw this on. It's like I drank another cup of coffee or a 5-hour energy. It just puts another pep in my step, and I love it. I simply adore the graphics of this game. A great way of describing it is disgustingly beautiful. It's inspired by cartoons of old, specifically some weird shit like Ren and Stimpy. It's chock full of personality and the animation is so fluid. I mean, look at Peppino's Mach 3 animation. It's simply beautiful. I love the title cards, not just for the normal levels, but for the bosses too. Or how about that opening scene? It has that rough around the edges look, and I adore that. Maybe I'm just getting old. But this whole, oh man, it's so realistic, it's just doing less and less for me as I age. I prefer when a game has a strong art style and runs away with it. Take Hi-Fi Rush as another example. I love the cel-shaded look and it suits the game so well. It wouldn't be the same if it was a realistic looking game. Bottom line, I love how disgusting the game looks. The way the game handles difficulty is honestly amazing. I've seen some people talk about why they don't like it, and I do get where they're coming from, but I disagree. You see, for standard levels, Peppino has no health. You can get hit as many times as you want. In fact, the game almost encourages it. It gives the player goofy animations in the top right. You can really only die in 2 main ways. The first one is in boss battles. In these levels, Peppino has health, and when that runs out, you have to do the boss fight from the beginning. The other way is by letting the time run out in the escape sequence and having Pizza Face catch up to you. On one hand, some may say it's too hard to die, but for me, dying is not where the difficulty comes from. It comes from P-ranking all the levels. It comes from P-ranking all the bosses. It comes from doing all the chef's tasks. It comes from finding out what all the unlockable clothes are and getting them. In a way, this is kind of nice. If you're a person who just wants to play through the game, not do any extra stuff, you'll probably have a nice time breezing through the 20 levels. But Once you've done that, and you want to kick it up a notch, the idea of having 3 chef tasks per level is a great way of persuading the player to try things out that they otherwise wouldn't. If I get into a game, I go full-on loser and achievement hunt the shit out of it. I will say, a lot of these can blend. There are plenty of, don't get hit by this, don't get hit by that. Some of these are pretty neat though. Like one of them will have Peppino parry a certain amount of enemies, which is a great way to encourage the player to try out parrying. One of the ones in War will be awarded if the player gets hit 3 times or less, encouraging them to be cautious. The John Gutter one of completing the stage in under 2 minutes encourages the player to go crazy fast. One of the ones in Fun Farm encourages the player to use their super taunt to kill 3 enemies that Peppino can't harm normally. I love it when achievements incentivize players to think outside the box a bit. Clothes are globally unlockable. You see, there are 3 playable files. When you unlock clothes in one file, it will be wearable in all 3 saves. This is notable because some of the clothes have conditions that are missable. Due to these being global, it's not a big deal. Like with the achievements, these are a nice way of nudging the players to do tasks that they wouldn't have done normally. Take the John clothes for example. To get this set of clothes, the player will need to resurrect John by getting all treasures and beating the game in under 2 hours and 15 minutes. I wouldn't think of doing a pseudo speedrun while getting all treasures if it wasn't for this set of clothes. There are 19 for Peppino, and I got them all. Gustavo and Fake Peppino will change their clothes to match the player, which is a neat touch. However, if you do want to nitpick, I've been playing games since the N64 and PS1 days. Digimon World is one of my favorite games of all time. I adore the shit out of the game due to its mystery and wonder. When it comes to collectibles though, I want to know the conditions, damn it. There's no way to see how to unlock clothes in the game itself. You gotta go to the Pizza Tower wiki. Now, if these clothes were obvious enough and you could say, guess them, then I'm down. But get a load of this shit. Literally. To get the shitty cook clothes, you need to crouch on a shit spot for 10 entire seconds and oh shit. Who the hell would ever think to do this? There are a couple of ones that people may not quite think of either. Like the War combo one required the player to beat War the first time they play it. I definitely did not beat War the first time I played it. I wish there would have been conditions around the hub world or something. There's so many, like, secret rooms, and it would have been nice to stash these conditions in those or something. Speaking of that, the hub world just kicks ass, man. I've always had a thing for hub worlds. You know, Gruntilda's Lair, Peach's Castle, even something like File City and Digimon World. Just a place where the player can sit down and chill. Like, say, the Castle Grounds in Super Mario 64. The hub world is a great place to just test out Peppino's moveset. Try going Mach 3 here. Try climbing some walls. Whip out a super jump. There's plenty of room to move around and try shit out, and it just feels great. I love how the theming of the floor changes. As I mentioned before, the musical tracks are titled Monday through Friday, which is amazing. Floor 1 is the Tower Lobby, and it's a pretty basic theming. Floor 2 is the Western District, so it makes sense that you fight the Vigilante here. The 3rd floor is the Vacation Resort, which makes levels like Golf and Crust Cove awesome. The slum is great, and putting oh shit at Pig City here is amazing. The 5th floor, staff only, has the hardest levels in the game. It's not just that though, there are so many little jokes and nods here and there. Like you can find the Noise on the 4th floor, you can find the Vigilante on the 5th floor, Gustavo Brick can be found on every single floor, and who can forget about my poor boy Snotty. I love how the Chef's Task door, it will turn gold if the player completes all the Chef's tasks for that floor. There's also a computer where the player can check data about the save file, a closet to change clothes, Granny pizza signs to show progress in levels, or the Pizza Granny herself, which either give the player a tip or tell a joke. Some of these get a good chuckle out of me. If the player has found all the secret eyes in every level, they'll unlock the secret eye in the hub world. If they enter this eye, they'll be able to listen to the game's soundtrack. What an amazing reward. I'll say it again, this is one of my favorite OSTs in all of gaming. I will listen to it on my own sometimes. It really is just that goddamn good. I also love how elements flow from the levels into the hub. Things like anti-gravitational olives, the bouncy mushrooms, the ventilators, the pipes. It makes it feel like an interconnected world. Even though they really are just standalone levels behind a door, that just magically teleports you to a level. I just love how it feels real, if that makes sense. There are also 7 hidden rooms. I'll flash them around real quick. But this again urges the player to just run around and have fun a bit in the hub. It always feels like a treat running into these. There's the Old Tower, Ravine, Pizza Land, Mr. Car, Noisette Cafe, Wash and Clean, and the Mansion. I guess if you want to nitpick, it can be kind of hard remembering where everything is. Like the closet is in a completely different spot on every floor. Sometimes I forget where a specific level is and I'll have to search around for a bit. I don't mind it really, but I think a level select would have helped out with that. I love exploring the hub, so it's not a big deal. Listen, I need to get petty with my criticism so it doesn't sound like I'm just blowing this game's humongous cock. Speaking of humongous cock, Peppino is such a brilliant protagonist. Just listen to the goddamn name. Peppino Spaghetti. Bloody brilliant. I love the way he screams, the several taunt poses he has, how he is so expressive, his idle animations. I love how he changes along with the art style too, when he's represented in cutscenes. Oh, it is so good. Sorry for jumping around, but if you want another nitpick, you should be able to skip the results screen at the end of every level. You technically can by pausing it on the same frame as leaving the level, but like, come on. For a game that focuses on speed, it is kind of absurd that you have to sit your ass down and watch this every time. Don't get me wrong, I like the results screen normally, but on kind of just speeding through levels, I really think you should just be able to skip it. One more thing before moving on to the updates. I love the Tower's secret treasures. So many of them just aren't related to pizza at all. There's a chocolate donut, orange juice, ice cream, a peanut butter jar. Funnily enough, Don't Make a Sound has an actual slice of pizza. It's just funny how some follow the theming of being used in a pizzeria, and others just take that idea and throw it out the window. The game definitely felt complete at launch, especially for 20 bucks, mind you, but there were two post-release updates that I want to talk about in particular. The first one is the 2023 Halloween update. Unfortunately, it was released on October 23rd, 2023, and was discontinued on November 13th, 2023. However, you can access this content again by setting the date on your PC between these mentioned dates. The first parts of these updates are not Halloween themed, but they are nice additions to the overall game. The biggest one is adding the Chef's Hass to the pause menu. It was a bit clunky going to the Chef's Hass room, having to remember all three of them in your head, and then running back to the level with no way to check them. I guess you could shift tab to bring up the Steam overlay, but why? Why do you have to do that? Having them right in the pause menu, it just alleviates this and makes getting them smoother. Some levels like Gnome Forest, Pizzascare, and Peppibot Factory also had additions to them that made it slightly easier to P-rank them. The Secrets of the World was also added. This can be unlocked by finding all 57 secret eyes in the main game, and it's located in the sound test room. This will have the player run through all 57 secrets in the game, back to back to back. Getting a P-rank in this is harder than it sounds. First of all, the order of these secrets is random, so you can't really plan ahead. Second of all, 57 is just a lot, man. It can be easy just to fall off a ledge, hit an unexpected enemy, you know what I mean? I did it though! You get no reward. It took me roughly an hour to P-rank the Secrets of the World. The main event here is the pumpkin hunt, and I'll be upfront here. This section will be full of noise footage because I grinded away at this on the Steam Deck as Peppino. Yeah, the game is Steam Deck verified, by the way. Portable Pizza Tower? It's a drug. Anyway, each level will have a secret pumpkin that needs to be destroyed. When the 20 pumpkins are destroyed, they will unlock a final level. The final level will have the player try to collect the remaining 10 pumpkins while the pumpkin ghost chases them. If he catches the player, they'll have to start the level over again. The green arrows will point to the main path, while the blue arrows will point to additional pumpkins that the player should grab first. There are two additional Chef's Hass added. One will be rewarded if all 30 pumpkins are found, and the other one will be rewarded if the player can get all 10 pumpkins in one tricky treat run. Other than that, the hub world was updated with Halloween decorations. I love how they've removed the tombstone for Snotty and replaced it with a ghost. Some clothes are added that the player can unlock by getting all the pumpkins. All in all, this was a nice surprise. Like I said, for 20 bucks, Pizza Tower felt more than complete anyway. I didn't expect any post-launch content at all. Between the Halloween stuff and the Secrets of the World, I got a few more hours out of the game. Well, this update was pretty cool, but we gotta talk about the next one. On March 11th, 2024, the highly anticipated noise update was released. This reinvigorated interest in the game immensely. The concurrent player count just shot up for a good while, and the general online interest in Pizza Tower was at its highest. The best part about this update, it was free! They easily could have charged money for this shit, and I would have paid up, but nah. Meanwhile, Overwatch 2 will charge you 20 bucks for a fucking skin. That is just outrageous. Who buys that shit anyway? I genuinely don't understand. This update will let the player play through the entire game as the noise. It provides 3 separate save slots so the player can experience the game all over again. As I said in my mini noise review video, I expect to mess around with this for maybe a couple of hours. 14 hours later, I P-ranked the entire game again. And yeah, this includes the Secrets of the World. The only thing that I haven't done yet is grab all the clothes. I'm working on it, some of these are tough. The noise controls pretty similarly to Peppino at a glance, but several key differences completely change how you play the game. For example, the noise cannot climb walls. Instead, he can do a skateboard kick off the walls a couple of times to gain height. The main caveat to this is the fact that noise will gain less height with each consecutive jump. Peppino's dive is replaced with a tornado attack. This is straight up better than Peppino's dive, as this can kill enemies, and the player can continue it by holding down on the D-pad. The noise's uppercut goes much higher too. This can be used as a great last-ditch attempt at reaching a ledge that is just out of reach. The noise also has a stamp ground pound that can break metal blocks at pretty much any height. He can do a super jump at pretty much any time too, and he can adjust himself horizontally during the jump. Peppino will have to be in his Mach 2 stage to initiate it. Like Peppino, the noise can dash to kill enemies, he has his Mach 2 and 3 speed, he can crouch, taunt, super taunt. As I said, their movesets, they are similar, but the differences really shine through. Come to think of it, I think the only positive that Peppino really has over the noise is the fact that he can run up walls. There are a couple of levels, like say Bloodsauce Dungeon, that I found easier to P-rank with Peppino. But to be completely honest, the noise is probably just straight up better. Having that insane uppercut can come in clutch. Being able to ground pound metal blocks at any height has saved my ass a couple of times. Being able to whip out a super jump from a standstill, And the fact that you can adjust it in the air is nice as hell. It's not just the base moveset though. Most of the noise's transformations are better too. For starters, Brick and Gustavo aren't playable in Gnome Forest and Pig City. Instead, the player is just the noise through and through. This honestly makes these levels so much easier to P-rank, it's nuts. Sometimes I had trouble keeping the differences between Peppino's and Gustavo's moveset straight. Like, I would screw up a wall jump. I'd try to do a super jump, and obviously that's not gonna work as Gustavo. When you hear the noise though, you just gotta keep one moveset straight. It makes P-ranking both these levels so much easier. Or take the pizza box transformation as another example. This is one of Peppino's best transformations, but the noises is just straight up better. He keeps his height easier, it's easier to control. The noise will keep his momentum during the night transformation if he hits a wall, while Peppino will just lose it. The noise can throw mort, meaning that he can connect with the hooks and fun farm easily. Sure, there are some that may be a bit better as Peppino, like say the ghost or the trash can lid, but most of them, the noises is just better, okay? In RRF, the noise can break the ice blocks upon entering the level, while Peppino needs the pepper pizza in order to do that. Upon reflecting a bit, I think the team was trying to make the noise a bit overpowered. However, it should be noted that the game was designed around Peppino first and foremost. Some levels, like Bloodsauce Dungeon, really made me feel the difference between these two characters. As the noise, I really wanted to run up those damn walls. But you can't do that. It should be noted that you can just whip out a super jump, but in the heat of the moment, I tend to forget to do that. On the other hand, being able to break the ice blocks right off the rip in RRF makes me prefer the noise by a lot there. I prefer being the noise in both Gnome Forest and Pig City because I find Gustavo's moveset to be the least intuitive of the three. But on the other hand, I actually prefer Peppino in both War and Don't Make a Sound because I prefer the shotgun over the minigun for some reason. It's honestly kind of cool. I don't think there is a general consensus on which character is in quotes better. Looking online, I'm seeing a lot of votes for both of them. One thing I'm seeing is that Peppino feels a bit easier to control, but the noise has a higher skill ceiling. This may be the way, honestly. There are a few things that the noise does that ticks me off. Like after his tornado, he does a little jump and it annoys the shit out of me. Peppino will stay on the ground after his dive. You know, it's little nuances like these that may make you prefer one over the other. Now, if there is a way to swap between them, well, there is. After beating the game as the noise, head to the top of the tower. Before heading up the pizza phase, you should see some smoke coming down from below. Drop into the smoke and you'll find Peppino's house. I adore this detail. It's honestly so cool. After exiting the house, you'll unlock swap mode. This will allow you to swap between the characters at any given moment by taunting and hitting down on the D-pad. This is great if you want to try out the differences between the two right on the fly. It's not even just that though. This can be done with another player. Too bad no one wants to play with my sorry ass. If I manage to wrangle one of my brothers to play with me, I'll put some footage of it here. If not, I'm sorry. I wanted to at least mention it to let you know that it's possible. Remember everyone, make friends so you can exploit them when needed. So, the last thing to mention about the noise. It feels so good to master his moveset. Remember when I said that Bloodsauce Dungeon was difficult to P-rank as the noise? Well, I thought it'd be funny to attempt it again when looking for the pumpkins. You know, for shits and giggles, since the pumpkin was near the end of the level. I did it in a single try. No, I'm not shitting you. What once felt like an unnatural moveset that was held back by a level that felt designed around Peppino felt great to use and I did it in a single try. Maybe the noise is just better. I don't even know anymore. I also don't know if it was this update that did this or another one, but I know for a fact that the meter ghost icon thing used to always be yellow. In a certain update, this was changed. The first combo that you have will be in purple instead to indicate the possibility of a P rank. I feel the need to put this here, damn it. I noticed it in my older footage. The combo meter ghost thing was yellow the whole time. I'm pretty sure it was the noise update, as I could find footage of me doing Secrets of the World as Peppino, and the meter was still yellow. Anyway, Pizza Tower did the unthinkable for me. It took its main inspiration, Wario Land 4, a game that I have a lot of nostalgia for, mind you, and improved upon it in pretty much every conceivable way. I was among the crowd that gave a resounding meh to Yooka-Laylee. I just didn't find it nearly as enjoyable as Banjo-Kazooie. Something like Pizza Tower can prove that its spiritual successor can be much better than its inspiration, but it's also so much more than that. I can point to influences pretty much everywhere. It has the speed of Sonic, the shine spark of Metroid, the combo attack of Devil May Cry, an art style reminiscent of Ren and Stimpy, and of course, the transformation and escape gimmick of Wario Land 4. Pizza Tower is simply more than a sum of its parts, though. The rockin' soundtrack makes the escape sequence even more hectic. The combo score plays brilliantly into gunning for that P rank. The level design complements Peppino's brilliant moveset. The collectibles all do something different, too. Top-ins unlock bosses, the treasures unlock a good ending, and P-ranking the stages increases your tower percentage. The boss battles are a nice way to shake up the standard platforming levels, too. It all comes together in a beautiful package that is worth far more than 20 bucks. I can confidently say I would have been fine paying a full 60. So, that's Pizza Tower. I remember starting this game up, thinking that I'll play it for a few hours. Sure, I'll beat it, but I'm not gonna go through the effort of P-ranking everything. But here we are, 60 plus hours later. I 101% the game as both the noise and Peppino. I'm so happy I did. That is where the gameplay loop really shines through. Here's to another 60 more. When I say that I love video games, Pizza Tower is one of the first games that comes into my mind. I'm not kidding when I say that it's entered my top 10 games of all time list. It really is that good. A very solid, no doubt about it, 7 out of 7 in my book. And listen, just because I pre-ranked everything, that doesn't mean I'm done with the game either. This will be a game that I revisit for years to come. Whether it's to P-rank everything all over again, just run through it quickly. I also gotta get all the clothes as the noise. Looking at it critically, there really are such few outright flaws with it. Sure, some of the weaker levels don't quite stand toe-to-toe with the better ones. Some of the secrets are pretty meh. Some of the clothes unlock conditions are pretty cryptic. Sometimes Peppino and the noise can be finicky to control. But really, that's the best I could come up with? I think it may be time to say it. I think I snubbed it as my game of the year last year, and listen, I loved Pikmin 4, I really did. But Pizza Tower just hits different, man. It's kind of funny. Somehow, I'm already finding myself to be somewhat nostalgic over this game. When I'm listening to the soundtrack on YouTube, like It's Pizza Time for example, it reminds me of hitting Pillar John for the first time. When I hear The Death That I Deserve Only, it brings me back to when I P-ranked John's Gutter for the first time. Isn't that weird? It's weird to feel nostalgic for a game that came out only a year ago, but here we are. Just thinking about like the memories of me getting into the game. It's just so funny. That's when you know you love a game. To quote Donkey, I love this shit. This video was made in memory of Snotty. You rock on up there, buddy. I'll try not to kill you in future runs. No promises, though. I also like the stupid block guy. I didn't know how to fit that in naturally. It's in the video. I also like a lot of the enemies here, too. I also couldn't find a way to weave that in normally.